Get social with us. The Talk of Connecticut is all over social media, and we want you to join us. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and check out our pictures on Instagram. Just find Talk of CT, and that's us.
News legal analyst. Good morning, Loretta. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing, Ed?
Not too shabby. I'm talking Making a Murderer, Brendan Dassey, Stephen Avery. Now, since you are a legal analyst, did you take in Making a Murderer, or did you avoid it because it's what you do on a daily basis?
I avoided it because it's what I do on a daily basis.
Completely understandable. That's understandable. I feel the same way about radio sometimes. When somebody sends me a story or an article, I go, I don't care what they're doing. I do this. So I can understand that. But you're familiar with the case, at least, in the federal magistrate judge, talking about the techniques used in getting information out of Dassey.
Right. So let's look at the facts of this case. In 2006, a 16-year-old got a life sentence for his alleged role in the murder of Teresa Hallback. And the piece of evidence that this case is hinged upon was his confession. And this confession was gained after the police used certain controversial tactics, such as baiting. For example, saying, we have all the evidence that shows that you did it, even though they don't have any evidence whatsoever. And the Supreme Court has said that baiting is a perfectly okay interrogation technique. Citizens lie to the police so the police can lie to them. But considering this person's age and intellect, there's reports that his IQ is about 71. The judge is saying that the confession was involuntary and coerced because false promises were made. And an involuntary confession cannot be used as evidence against the accused. So without the confession, the prosecution is going to have to look at other evidence to see if they believe that they have enough to convict on a retrial.
Now, is there any sort of retribution that he can go after when it comes to him having been locked up all these years?
Yes, a lot of inmates who are later exonerated, whether it be DNA evidence, they do have a civil claim that they could go and sue.
That is incredible.
I've spent in jail.
So I watched it and I was angered. And before you came on, I detailed the three parties, the three types of people that have watched that show. There are those that think Stephen Avery and Dassey are innocent. There are those that think they are guilty. And then there are those who don't know one way or the other, but they do know that the whole process was a sham. Specifically, Dassey's confession. Having seen video, it infuriates me to think that is acceptable. Basically feeding him and drawing it out of him. And it blows my mind that the Supreme Court has ruled that that's acceptable when there's plenty of research that says false confessions happen all the time, especially after hours of interrogation.
You're absolutely right, Ed. I think you bring up some very, very good points. I think that the prosecution here would rather dismiss the case than lose on a retrial, because in Wisconsin, there's no statute of limitations on murder. So if they do get more evidence, they can always re-indict him at a later date. But I don't want to gloss over the fact that this kid may be innocent, and maybe there is no evidence.
And what does that mean? What does all this mean for Stephen Avery? Because his confession, Dassey's confession, was a cornerstone of the case.
Right, but there was also a lot of physical evidence, albeit it was very controversial physical evidence, to link Avery to the crime. So I don't think that his is going to be reversed. Security
and a passport definitely trumps the family dollar. But at the same time, I lean on the rights of a business owner to make a decision, for better or for worse. I think that if a business owner wants to make what I call a bad decision like this, to decide that, hey, you can't be in my store because you're wearing that, then as a consumer, you say, fine, I will never shop here again. And it's like the restaurant theory. One bad experience will tell 10 people. A good experience will tell maybe 2. Being who I am, I wouldn't shop at that Family Dollar because of the experience somebody else had. And that's where we have to, I guess the legal line is going to be drawn as to whether or not the business owners have rights to, and we've seen this with the cake situation, whether or not business owners have rights to deny service. Well, thank you for your time. Loretta Powers, Fox News legal analyst. Hopefully you get a chance to watch Making a Murderer. It's well worth it.